Hey, this is the C&D channel. I'm Chris, and this is MMA for you. I'm going to be doing my post-fight analysis for Strikeforce Challengers 17 and Bellator 47. So let's go start with Strikeforce Challengers 17. Emma and Amagov beat Ron Stallings by a split decision. The thing is that Amagov is undefeated. His stand-up looked good, especially around the first round and around the second. It's just that around the end of the second, when he really started to get tired, did his discipline and focus really slip, and it really showed when he did. Like he went for this crazy haymaker on Stallings, spun and fell over at the end of the second round, and he got sloppy around the third round. He looked good. Amagov looked good. He still looks like he's like a challengers level fighter, though. I want to see more of him and see what he has, though. You know, like I said, his stand-up did look really good. When he was I guess he was tired. It looked like. On the undercard, Bill Cooper beat Mark Watson by a rear naked choke in the second round. I remember I was discussing this fight with someone, and obviously MMA isn't a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournament. The thing is, how I feel about it, and is that someone like Cooper, who's just so good at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and so far ahead of a lot of his opponents in that department, and early on in his MMA career, it can get him somewhere. It's later on when he goes up against like the wrestlers, they'll step his takedowns and just won't let the fight go to the floor. Well, you need to be a lot more well-rounded. But early on, when you're fighting guys that have less than 5 fights, unless they can stuff takedowns and just avoid getting taken down by Cooper. Cooper's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu can actually take him far. It's kind of like a wrestler in a sense, that having like that NCAA All-American credentials and being able to take any opponent down early on, it's just going to get you pretty far. It's later on when guys can stuff your takedowns and whatnot, that you need to be well-rounded. With Cooper, if he's fighting guys with less than 5 fights, you can potentially see him win, even if his opponent is expecting to keep the fight standing, and unless he has the skills to do it. Cooper's probably going to take him down and use his jiu-jitsu for the win. I mean, it's just how it works early on. Later, though, someone, unless Cooper's stand-up gets better and whatnot, I can see his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu taking him pretty far. Also tonight we had a women's fight at the 35-pound division as Sarah Kaufman beat Liz Carmouche. The thing is, a lot of people pick Carmouche to win. Obviously, she looked really good against Marloes Coenen, lasting 4 rounds until she got triangled. One thing I said, and I picked Kaufman to win this, and she won in the way I thought she would. One thing I remember talking about was that Coenen allows herself to get bullied into clinch. Cindy Dandles did it, Liz Carmouche did it, and Sarah Kaufman even managed to do it until she got armbarred. One thing was, like, I've seen Sarah Kaufman fight. She has a really good sprawl. I mean, she has a really good sprawl, and her stand-up is just so much more crisp and technical than Carmouche. Honestly, Kaufman has the skills of a lot of. She has more technical skill than a lot of male fighters, like higher level male fighters. I mean, she throws a lot of jabs, she throws a lot of straights. The only problem with Kaufman would be that she doesn't. She throws a lot of the same things. It's like inside leg kick, jab, right cross. I mean, that's what it comes down to. But she's really crisp with it. Some even suggested that Carmouche would steamroll Kaufman. I just didn't see it. I knew Kaufman was good in the clinch. I knew she had good takedown defense. And the stand-up just goes to Kaufman. A lot of female fighters at 135 there's probably like Amanda Nunes, and Marlos Kunin has some pretty good stand-up that can match Kaufman's. Otherwise, I knew Carmouche didn't have the stand-up acumen. Kaufman's also just really strong too. Carmouche is really strong in the division, but Sarah Kaufman, I mean, she was just lighting her up on the feet. I think Kaufman was winning in the clinch. She would put Carmouche's back against the cage a lot more than Carmouche would do Kaufman. I wonder about Kaufman's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, though. She seemed to really want to avoid doing ground and pound and stuff like that. And obviously she lost by an arm bar from her opponent's back against Kunin. Kaufman will probably get the winner of Tate versus Kunin. Stylistically, Kaufman beats Tate. I mean, I can see Kaufman just stuffing a lot of Tate's takedowns and winning to stand up. I mean, it's just stylistically, Kaufman looks like she'd be able to sprawl and brawl against Tate. I think Kaufman in a rematch can beat Kunin. She was beating Kunin up until that point, up until that armbar. Kaufman might want to avoid the ground game this time. She might do clinch against the cage and do a little dirty boxing. In the stand-up, though, if Kaufman can come in, then she can beat Kunin. I think she did have a hard time with the stand-up against Kunin because of Kunin's height. I expect Kaufman, if she fights Kunin again, I can see her beating her. The other thing that I like about this fight is, and that I like about like someone like Kaufman, is the potential for the women's division in general. One thing is Kaufman she's not like the best, she's not better than the best male fighter or anything like that, but it really shows the potential for women to fight at a relatively high level. It's not like Kaufman is really sloppy or anything, and that's really good. A lot of people that are against women's MMA are like, oh well, they're generally really sloppy. Obviously, there's the sexist remarks as well, but they're not as good as the guys. They're not supposed to be. You can't always expect them to be as good as the guys, but you can still expect them to fight at a high level. Like I said, Kaufman has better technical skill than some guys, who wing punches, where a lot of people wing punches. She throws straights. She sprawls really well, she's good in clinch, So, there's a lot of hope for women's MMA and the potential to see very high level female fighters. Next fight after that, Devin Cole beat Sean Jordan. There wasn't much to say about this fight. I thought Devin Cole would win, and he did. I like the uppercut in between the legs. This fight really showed the whole thing about the knees to the grounded opponent thing that I hate. Jordan was putting his hand on the floor, which makes it so that Devin Cole can't knee him in the head. I think it's just one of the dumbest rules because he's, Jordan's still in a standing position. I hate that rule. I wish it would go away. Honestly, I think that you shouldn't knees a grounded opponent. Personally, I think that should only apply to an opponent that's on his back or on his stomach. Even if he's on his knees, I think knees on the grounded opponent should still. I don't think even on his knees should be considered grounded. To be perfectly honest with you, I think a lot more fights would be finished. I think the side mount position would. Well, actually, because he can't hit him in the body. I just think as an opponent's getting up or a guy successfully sprawled, that you should be able to knee the guy's head. It's there. It's open. I don't see the safety precaution here. The tie clinch, a successful tie clinch, as shown with Bobby Volker versus Roger Bowling. A successful tie clinch, and you're kneeing the guy. I heard is just as dangerous, or just as threatening, if not more, than a knee to a grounded opponent, actually, because you have momentum going downwards and a knee going upwards. So yeah, I don't see where the safety precaution lies here, and I think that rule, especially where the hand is on the ground, I hate that rule, to be honest. OSP, next fight after that, OSP, Ovinci Peru beat Joe Kaysen in just about a minute by TKO. OSP is ready for the big cards. This guy has been beating guys in the challengers cards, some solid guys. He looks pretty well rounded. He has good stand-up. He has some wrestling. I've seen his ground and pound against like Bendy Raddick and whatnot. He's definitely ready. He's definitely well-rounded enough. Masasi might be a little too much, but Babalu I thought would be a really good opponent for him. He is especially OSP was scheduled to fight Fejao at one time. Fejao might be a little too much for him. Fejao is going to fight Yoel Romero. If you want to give him the winner of that, I mean, it wouldn't hurt. The thing with Strikeforce is their divisions are relatively small, so you do gotta. The way it works is for someone like OSP, sometimes you just let him go to the deep end a little sooner than one might like. But he is definitely ready for the big cards. I'm curious to see what he can do against the higher light heavyweights of Strikeforce. I don't know if it was something with Joe Kaysen fighting in Duke Rufus's camp, but I did get a lot of people saying that Kaysen's gonna show us a lot of things in this fight. When you're going with your hands down, it looks like he's trying to shoot with your head tilted to the side, and you get kneed because OSP is actually trying to throw a kick, but it hit the knee hit his head. I don't see what's special about this guy. He's fighting guys that had losing records. His best win was against Sean Salmon. I was told to watch out for this guy. I don't see it. I mean, he lost in a minute against OSP. In a way that made him look pretty sloppy. Actually, I mean, he was just so open for that strike. I don't know what it is about Kaysen. Someone compared him to a young Cain Velasquez and Shane Carwin. At least those two early on were fighting guys that didn't have losing records. Someone tell me, because I don't know what's special about Joe Kaysen, to be perfectly honest. If it's the Duke Rufus thing, sure, but otherwise, I don't know. So, OSP though, I want to see him in the bigger cards. And finally, in the main event, Bobby Volker beat Roger Bowling by a knee and follow-up ground and pound in the second round. One thing is, Bowling I thought was winning the fight up until that moment. I mean, he was, imposing his will, pushing up against the cage, getting takedowns. I thought he was even beating him on the stand-up. It really was a very rookie mistake on Bowling's part, though. His head was low when he was up against cage, had Volker up against cage, and as he was breaking apart, his head was still low, and he took a really big knee, which was followed by some ground and pound. The welterweight division for Strikeforce, they need a champion right now. Volker, I mean, he's a good fighter. I think he should fight in the bigger cards at this point. But, I can't see him beat someone even like Evangelista Cyborg Santos, especially like a Paul Daly. Tarek Safadine, would do really well against him. There's a lot of guys I can just see beating Bobby Volker. Tyron Woodley is another guy I can see beat Volker. Maybe even Scott Smith, you know. I mean, Volker's obviously a veteran, but, like, you know, he didn't really wow me too much in this fight. I mean, that knee to the TKO, you know, was, like, the best shot he got. He didn't really do much before that, though. And I'm not trying to bring down Volker. It's just, from the skills I've seen from him, I don't think he'll be able to beat a lot of the upper tier welterweights in the Strikeforce welterweight division. So that's it for my Strikeforce Challengers post-fight analysis. Let's go to Bellator. Chris Hordesky beat Chris Saunders by unanimous decision. You know, I'm still not impressed by Hordesky. I probably shouldn't have picked Saunders. That was more of an emotional pick, and that was a biased pick right there. Saunders was really sloppy. I mean, he'd go for sloppy guillotines and end up on the bottom. Hordesky would just, you know, take the fight to the ground and cruise in top control. He'd throw some ground and pound. I mean, he stayed busy, but, like, wasn't anything that would, like, end a fight or anything. It's tough to say. I mean, like, you know, if they put Hordesky in, like, say, like, the lightweight tournament, you know, I can't see him beat someone like Michael Chandler or Patricky Pitbull or anything like that. You know, maybe even Wilson Hayes. You know, I don't see Hordesky that. I mean, he's solid. He has good stand-up. But he's one of those, like, he's good at everything, not great at anything, one thing type of deal. And that's the thing. I like that he throws a lot of combinations. It's a very Sean Tompkins type of thing. And the stand-up, you know, he has a good ground game. It's not, like, great. Against Saunders, game guy, you know. He looked as you'd expect someone to fight, like, this level of opponent this soon in his career. I think it was only his, like, 10th fight. So yeah. Next fight after that, Neil Grove beat Zach Jensen by TKO in the first round. This fight was just a lot of fun. I mean, it was sloppy, almost laughable. Because there's a part where Grove was going for a leg lock or an ankle. It was like an ankle leg lock on Zach Jensen, and Grove was, like, with his other hand was punching Jensen's face, and Jensen was punching his body. I mean, it was really cool, but at the same time, it showed the sloppy of the heavyweights at the same time. It was very much an old school type of heavyweight where it's like, let's see who goes down first. Let's throw until we see who goes down first. Jensen dropped Grove in the beginning to his knees, but Grove managed to take down Jensen to get top control and land in his guard. He finished actually on top in the guard after just a lot of striking. It was really cool. It was really fun. Grove, you know, depending on which heavyweights you get in the division, Grove's always going to be the guy that's going to have the stand-up you want to watch out for. He has a lot of power. His gas tank, still questionable. But, you know, he's a really game guy. He's really game. I don't expect him to beat Cole Conrad. Cole Conrad will just take him down, you know, right away. But, you know, Grove, very interesting that a guy like that. I remember him losing to Mike Shesolo, he has a hard last name, by leg lock in the UFC, and I thought he was just any other heavyweight. It's cool to see him make a name for himself in Bellator, you know. It's really nice to see. Okay, and in the featherweight tournament, Marlon Sandro beat Nazare Malagari by unanimous decision. Sandro had superior stand-up to Malagari. That was just the start of the fight. He had superior stand-up to Malagari, Malgari had a really good chin. He took a lot of power shots. He could not get the takedown on Sandro. Sandro just kind of, when he wanted to take the fight down, he actually did against Malgari. He kind of just beat him everywhere in every department. And that's pretty much the story of the fight, really. And finally, Pat Curran beat Ronnie Man by unanimous decision. Pat Curran looks really good at 145. I mean, you just got to say, he was controlling range really well against Man. He really had Man's number. He went for those flying knees, which would close distance, and go for attack, which would have Man backing up against the cage. Man just respected way too much of his stand-up. But to Curran's credit, I mean, Curran's defense, I mean, he just wouldn't allow Man to get anything going off anyways. Man, this almost looks like a case of being too technical, actually working against him. He throws a lot of straight punches, a lot of kicks, but, like, if you're throwing a lot of straight punches, you have to get it inside the range to be able to connect. I mean, Man could not just connect at times. He was just off. He was hitting air a lot of times. And Curran would just be able to, get his range on Man the whole fight. He had the spear wrestling too. Honestly, I think that Curran is going to beat Sandro. I think he if something happens where he loses a stand-up, he'll be able to take down Sandro and use his wrestling. It just Curran looks definitely the more well-rounded. He's looking really good. He's looking a lot more aggressive too, which I'm really liking. He'd back up a lot at light heavyweight, but now he's pushing forward a lot more, and I really like to see that from him. Sandro, though, I think he'll go inside more, and try and maybe take, because Sandro does get hit, even if Malgari gets hit. I don't think he really cares so much about getting hit. I think he won't. I can see Sandro at least taking a lot more risk than Man did, who really, I think that went against, I think that really hurt Ronnie Man, is just that, he would not take any risk, and he really needed to against Curran. I mean, that's the thing, Curran just had the tools in that fight. But yeah, I expect Curran to win this. I think Curran versus Sandro is going to be really interesting. I think, like I said, Sandro will definitely force his way in there a lot more than Ronnie Man did. So he'll definitely make it more interesting in the stand-up, just being a little more gung-ho. But I expect Pat Curran to win the whole thing. So yeah, that's it for my post-fight analysis for Bellator 47. If you have any comments or anything, just leave them below. And that's it for MMA for you. Thanks.